Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're talking week 3 on the waiver wire. See if there's anybody that can help, win you some games. There's not like the big pickup like we had last week, maybe with Elijah Mitchell, which didn't quite completely pan out, but still, there's nothing like that this week, I would say. But I have a few names I want to throw out there. I would say, Jeff, I'm going to start right off. Number one, my number one pickup for this week is actually probably going to be Rondale Moore. I've really been impressed with what I've seen for Rondale Moore so far. He's owned in, let me see, I got the number right here. He's owned in only 19.3% of leagues. So a low number. But from what I've seen so far in that passing offense has been great. Rondale Moore, he's showing some stuff after 2 games. I like Rondale Moore. I'm going to go pick him up if I have a chance this week in different leagues. I don't in most of our leagues, but even at 19%, our league seem to have picked him up. But Rondale Moore, I'm going to throw him on my roster. My roster. He's probably my number one ad for week 3.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, the guy looked great. You're on a wonderful offense. As long as Kyler is slinging the ball, he's going to be in the mix, and you want to buy low right now. I mean, right? You want to go out and get him. If he's still available, he's not going to be available much longer, especially if he has another halfway decent game.
Oh, so his number's going to jump quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, most of the leagues are going to grab him this week, so you have to go for him. Yeah, and let's be honest, this week around, waivers are a little less. They're a little more picked through. You're a little more confusing. Less numbers were put up this week, so he is kind of the one bright shining star of like, oh wow, okay, he was a rookie, he was a good spot. When is he going to break out? Everyone holding their breath. He comes out and he has a big game. So now you got to go and get him. I agree with you.
Yep. So he's definitely my number one. I think number 2 is probably going to be Cordell Patterson. Actually, he's playing a lot for the Falcons. He's getting opportunity, and it's strange because you look at it, it's like 7 carries, 11 yards, right? It doesn't look great, but he also caught a bunch of balls. He's getting touchdowns. He's getting opportunity. If you need somebody, if you're in a bind, if you've had injuries all over the place, I mean, I've had a team where we've had, early on we had Dobbins hurt, we had ETN hurt, all in the same team. We're losing guys like all over the place. You might need to go put a Patterson in your lineup. But Cordell Patterson is owned in 7.7% of leagues right now. He's a very interesting ad because I don't like Mike Davis that much. I'm not a Mike Davis guy. I don't see why not. Patterson's more interesting. He's more exciting to me. So we can start seeing some more Patterson going on there. I like picking up Patterson too. If you can put him on the end of your bench. I don't know if I want to try him yet, but if there's some people in certain spots where you might have to. So go get Patterson.
Yeah, I like that one. I mean, it's kind of the wait and see. And right now he has a running back designation, correct?
Yes, he does. In ESPN, he does. There are some formats where he has wide receiver though.
Okay. So yeah, so he's an interesting guy. They definitely need weapons. So I like that one. That's more of a stash play.
Yeah. It's just if he, another week where he's getting all this work, be like, okay, and it becomes more and more interesting, right? But then I'm going to throw out Tony Pollard, right? Tony Pollard, big day for the Cowboys, but we don't know what this is. Is this a split? If it's actually a split, Tony Pollard becomes very interesting, I would think. But maybe, I don't know. The Cowboys' run offense didn't look great week 1. It didn't look great most of last year. It did look good this past week, so we hope it is. But I mean, the best case he can have is a split. That's the best case for Tony Pollard. But still, Tony Pollard needs to be rostered. It was like 38% rostered. He absolutely needs to be on somebody's bench. You have to go get, if you're the Zeke owner. I mean, there's a lot of that means Zeke owners that do not have Tony Pollard, and I don't get that. Go get him. You have to go get Tony Pollard for sure. Go pick him up.
Yeah, and kind of like shame on you if you don't have your handcuff at this point. Now you're gonna have to pay for him a little bit.
Well, there's not a lot of handcuffs I would even have in leagues. There's just not a lot of them, honestly. Tony Pollard's one of them. Tony Pollard, probably Madison. I'd maybe like a Tony Jones, I would say. for the Saints. There's just not a lot. And then A.J. Dillon probably for the Packers. But there's not a lot of handcuffs that I actually would really like to have. But Tony Pollard is completely, obviously, one of those players you need to get. Other pickups, KJ Osborne, he's interesting to me after 2 weeks of getting some action there for the Vikings. Can this offense sustain a third receiver? We'll find out. I'm not sure. But this was an interesting 2 weeks. So KJ Osborne, don't feel as strong about that one right away, but it's still an interesting pickup, I would say. And then at that point, I'm going to move over to quarterbacks. We got a few of them, right? Derek Carr has to be a pickup. The way what we've seen for 2 weeks from Derek Carr against, good teams, why Derek Carr has to be picked up. Next week, he gets Miami. But Miami did not look good against Buffalo. Derek Carr against Miami, I feel really good about that one. But this is where the letdown happens, right? But Derek Carr needs to be a pickup for you. Derek Carr, I think we talked about in the last episode. You'd rather play Derek Carr probably than Tannehill at this point, and some other guys. Like I'd rather play Derek Carr than Jameis even though Jameis had one big week. I want Derek Carr over Jameis. Probably Derek Carr over. What about like Joe Burrow?
Yeah, right now, yes. The way he's playing, especially with the matchup. Yeah.
Well, Burrow's playing at Pittsburgh this week, so you're definitely going to go with Tannehill.
He's definitely going to be lower, especially after what happened this week.
Yeah. Derek Carr. He's going to go over a lot of guys that you weren't thinking early on in the year. Other pickups for quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater to me is actually interesting. He's been solid. He plays the Jets this week, so I've liked what I've seen from him playing the Jets. If you're looking for streaming, if you can't get Derek Carr, I think Teddy Bridgewater is an interesting choice. So I might go look at that one. Then if Justin Fields available in your leagues and he's the quarterback, I don't know if I'd play him this week. He's playing at Cleveland. I know that's going to be like a popular pickup, but I wouldn't, let's say this became his first NFL start. I don't know how I feel about that playing at Cleveland. I just don't have a good feeling about it.
No, yeah, I would not start him. I mean, the only hope you're having is like, oh wow, what if he rushes for quite a bit, right? You're looking for that, and it could happen, but that is not the defense I want to try that out on, especially when there's a handful of quarterbacks that have really good matchups that even if they're a crap team, they could put up fantasy points. I would not test out Fields this week, but I understand if you want to grab him and put him on your bench and find out how he's looking, I'm totally okay with that. But if you wanted to go, if you're just looking for a streamer, I mean, Derek Carr would be my number one. Teddy Bridgewater is actually very solid. And then the other, Kirk Cousins, he's actually looked pretty good. He's going against Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle's defense has been okay. They're nothing I'm worried about at all.
With Wagner, I mean, he had a crazy game this week. I mean, I forget how many tackles he had, like 18 or something. But, you're wondering if Delvin Cook doesn't do what he did this week. Kirk Cousins is very capable of throwing 3 touchdowns. So I like that. My one question to you, as far as streaming quarterbacks, the one that is interesting to me is Daniel Jones.
Yep. That's the other one for me.
Crap team, but he's actually done pretty well because of, rushing or whatever. And now you're about to go against Atlanta. Would you be willing to play him? And where
honestly, yeah. If I'm streaming, I might. I'd obviously try to go with Derek Carr first in Bridgewater and Cousins. I'd want those guys over him. But if that's what I end up with, it's a solid matchup and I'm okay with it. So I'd be okay with it and think, he might get you 2 touchdowns. It might not be pretty, but overall, and then Sam Darnold at Houston. That's an interesting one to me too. Sam Darnold has been interesting for 2 weeks. So
I get that, but I would definitely put him down below all the other guys. Would he? Because I'm trying to think of who would be a starter that I actually start him over. I mean, at that point, would you still start him over, say, a Tannehill? Like at this point, are you just benching Tannehill? Because who would Darnold actually start over? That's the hard part.
If you're just in the streaming mode, like I am, that's a possible one. It really is. Like this week, I started Baker, right? I don't know if I want Baker. Baker's playing against Chicago next week. Maybe Chicago's been okay, but I might go with that. But Sam Darnold, I'm telling you, Houston, I don't love that team. So they don't really have too much on defense. So Darnold's probably down there, but him and Jones to me are very equals, I would say, in that regard. But there's actually, there's a lot of streaming quarterback options this week. There really is. This is one of the better weeks I've seen for streaming quarterback options. So if you're going that route, I bet you can find somebody that'll work out for you here this week. But I don't know if you missed. Is there any other guys that I'm missing this week that we need to go pick up on the waivers? Because it's definitely not as big of a week for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only other guy that I don't think we mentioned would be Christian Kirk. I think he's still only owned in 25% of leagues.
He's the other one.
He's still, and he's a little safer than maybe the other guys, but he doesn't have as much upside. I mean, that's probably how it's looking right now, but I think he is a very solid pickup.
Yep, I like that one too.
And I really do not have a tight end, but if you had to stream a tight end right now, do you have any that you could throw out there? Because right now, under 40% is usually what we're talking about. It's ugly, and it gets ugly in a hurry.
No, I don't feel good about any of it.
I don't either.
If you go under 40%, yeah, I don't love any of those picks when you're going that low. Hunter Henry, I just might take a shot. I don't like any of these options right now. That it's not a very deep position. So probably honestly Hunter Henry, because I know there's some talent there, right? And that's about all I'm hoping for. And yeah, it's ugly. It's ugly at tight end. I don't know. Yep. But all right, there we go. Waiver wire. Telling you, that's why I went on my rant about Elijah Mitchell, even though it's not maybe looking great this week, but there aren't that many chances, I'm telling you, on the waivers. It doesn't happen that often where you get these big time players that can possibly change your season. Elijah Mitchell, jury's out on that one if he could be that guy, but most weeks there's not even a guy that's that potential. So take your shots. If the next one that comes along, if you didn't take a shot on Mitchell, go take that shot, because I don't know how quick how long, how many more chances there'll be. So this week 3 shows you that, right? When we're looking at Rondell Moore and Cordell Patterson as our top pickups, and we're not at all sure we'd even start them.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you get your shot, go take it, right? But all right, that'll do it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you guys then.